The crows had engraved the skies. The blood of all mingled together, a catastrophe that overflowed like a river. Piles of bodies marked the war of righteous evil and demons, a long nightmare that left only piercing agony in its wake. Finally, all of that came to an end with the declaration of unity amongst the absolute ruler of each faction. The war ended. Since then, 19 years have passed. The ignorant called the current Jianghu an era of peace, but the real ones know the truth. That in this present Jianghu, the most secretive war in history is going on, a person says, from the continuous embezzlement of the Divine Sex funds to the leaking of internal classified documents to the Murim Alliance, even unauthorized surveillance of certain sect members. These idiots should really be punished for 3 generations. As he closes the book, he mutters, crawling out like endless damned rats. He continues, in this sacred land of Mount Ian, blessed by the sect leader, they dare to engage in espionage. This is the lunatic main character. A warrior on the door says, "Hey, you there? What are you loitering around for at this hour? Get lost already." He continues, "Do you even know whose house this is?" The main character replies, "Of course I do. It's the residence of the 5th rank ghost, Yongwu, deputy commander of the military corps." He instructs them bluntly, "Enough talk. Just open the door. There's work to do." The people think, what the hell? Is this lunatic insane? Who the hell are you to demand the doors of the deputy commander's house be opened? They observe that the companions standing alongside him turn violent. He says, "Open it or not," while twisting the man's head. As the man looked behind toward this person says to the main character, "I obey the command," and the man was dead. The third guy standing there says, "What? You lunatic. Don't tell me, betrayal." But before that, another of their comrades was behind him with a sword in hand, and with a gush, blood splattered. It looks like both of these people are the main character's people. They greet him bowing, saying, "I greet the squad leader. This is the 3rd squad leader of Cheyenne, my divine cult intelligence organization." As the main characters stand behind them, he says, "Good. You did well infiltrating ahead of time." We get to know his identity, the Grim Reaper of spy hunters, Jiang. As they open the door and the main character entered, he commands the counterintelligence unit of the 3rd squad. From this moment, under the authority granted by the cult leader, they will root out the spies of the Martial Alliance. Hundreds of people gathered around with agony in their eyes, saying, "At your command, sir." We observe all of them running in and pacing toward somewhere. The guard in the premises couldn't understand what was happening as they looked toward these people with daggers in their hands. Then it was too late, as their necks got turned and slashed, blood splattering all over. The ones who were alerted said, "What the hell is this ambush?" But that was it. As they were about to do something, they were already dealt with that INA room. Someone is running towards somewhere. This someone is one of the guards, who says, "This is bad. Vice Captain." We observe this man as flaunting over a woman, or multiple women, as though boasting. He says, "Right outside, some unidentified men have broken in. They've launched an attack." As the man was performing his deed, he turned toward this person, saying, "What did you say, you linguistic unit, Vice Captain, the 5th grade Ghost Yongwu?" We observe him saying, "What nonsense is this? Who would dare trespass into my residence?" But the servant says, "Well, it all happened so suddenly. We haven't been able to grasp the situation fully." He also told him how they are struggling just to hold them back. "Useless fools, all of you. Things are just getting heated," he says as he covers himself up, adding, "Is it some crazy band of thieves? No. If that was the case, my subordinates would have handled it without causing such a commotion." The servant says, "I'm sorry, sir, but please hurry. At this rate, we might be wiped out in an instant." Before that, the man unsheathes his blade, asking the servant, "Who the hell is he?" putting his sword to his neck. The man, scared, trembled, saying, "Vice Captain, why are you suddenly?" But the captain replied, "You used your head quite well, but there's something you overlooked. I remember everything that belongs to me, from my money and treasure to the women I spent a night with, even the lowly grunts under my command. Every single one of them. And in my memory, there is no face like yours. Then who the hell are you? It looks like the servant is really not under his command. As his emotions stabilize, he says while laughing, I wanted to drag you outside and deal with this easily, but it's not going as planned. As he ripped off his mask, he says, old cult members sure have sharp instincts, don't they? The man was actually terrified seeing the person's face, saying, it's you lunatic grunt. No way. The mad dog of the counterintelligence unit, Jang, he screamed. He asked, why are you here? The main character replied, why? Why, you ask? Something so obvious. It's because there was a report saying that you were a spy. With this, the man's face sank to an extremely low depth as he tried to mumble something out, saying, what? He yelled, what nonsense is this? There is no one more loyal to our cult than me. And yet you call me a spy? This is clearly a fake accusation. The main character says, a week ago, near Hubei province, you raided a merchant caravan there, didn't you? He continued, and if that wasn't enough, you killed all the merchants and assaulted the women too. The man tried to say, wait, are you seriously making a fuss over that? What's the problem with that? You know it yourself. That's just common entertainment within our cult. Why act all self-righteous about it now? The main character had a very calm look as he says, we received intel that the members of that caravan were affiliated with the Murim Alliance. So your so-called entertainment was merely a cover for your rendezvous with them, wasn't it? You deliberately committed robbery to meet with your contacts. Seriously, spies these days are relentless. The man tried to justify himself, saying, what kind of absurd nonsense is this? I have never acted as a spy. He asked the main character to show him proof. Bring me proof. You can't do this to me based on a baseless accusation. The main character told him, don't worry about that. They have already secured it. From the secret letter stamped with the Murim Alliance's office seal that you had in your room to the treasures you embezzled as spy funds. Every single one of them. My subordinates are quite competent, you see. His face sank to absolute depths as he thought about the Murim Alliance's secret letter, spy funds. No way. Why would such things be in my house? He couldn't understand. No matter how he thought about it, something was definitely off. Asterisk, even if the counterintelligence unit works directly under the cult leader, how could they carry out such a reckless operation? This feeling, as if they had planned this to capture me from the very beginning. Who could it be? There is no one who would frame me like this. Asterisk, as he sized up the lunatic face of the main character, the man got scared out of his wits. We observe him stepping in front of him and slashing toward the main character, saying, was it you? The lunatic who dared to pull this filthy trick on me? It was you. As he was about to slash, we observed some kind of action coming toward his hand, and in an instant his hand was broken in 3 places. He screamed out that we observe it was the main character who dislocated his arm in an instant. He rotated his arm, then broke it completely. The man got sent flying upside down in an instant by the main character as his hand was trampled under the main character's feet. He screamed out all over, trickery. You speak just like those righteous sect lunatics. As expected of a spy to utter such nonsense in front of the counterintelligence captain who serves directly under the cult leader. Continuing, sit down quietly and accept your fate, he says, I will now deliver this message to the cult leader. As he opens the message, seeing the rank by Ghost Yong-woo. The truth revealed by the informant about you is truly regrettable. According to the doctrine of our cult, you shall receive a fitting punishment. The man gritted his teeth and strengthened his fist on the sword. With one fell swoop, he slashed toward the main character, saying silence. The letter was torn in half, but looks like he couldn't do anything more. The main character says, how dare you defy the cult leader's decree? As the man was trying to flee, we observed the reddish eyes of the main character that looked scary, saying counterintelligence 3rd Captain Jiang and Spy Yong-woo, who resisted the arrest order as per the doctrine. As the man jumped out of the building into the open, thinking to himself that he needs to escape at any cost. Asterisk among those accused of being spies by that mad dog. Not a single one has ever returned alive. I don't know why he's trying to frame me, but right now, running away is my only chance at survival. I will find a way to clear my name later. Asterisk. But he didn't have that much time. As blood splattered, we observe the main character, who used a versatile weapon and poked a hole through the man's chest. The man's pattern bled in gallons and screamed, taking the name of the main character, cursing him all over. But the main character, who caught his blade and the strings attached to it, bit the strings, engraving the man all over. All of his body parts were gathered at one point, and the main character used his hands to pull the strings into the accord he wanted. With one fell swoop, the man's body was desecrated to pieces. This was who the main character really was, a crazy lunatic. The man tried to murmur something, saying, Who ordered you to do this?" As all of his so-called body fell down toward the feet of the main character, and blood splattered all over. The main character was silent and resilient in his stance as he smiled, thinking, Asterisk, that's the wrong question. Instead of asking who ordered this, you should have asked why it was you. Asterisk, as his companion supported him. The main character thinks, Asterisk, how? Just like you said, isn't that a common occurrence? Being falsely accused and unfairly killed in this damn demon cult? Counterintelligence Captain, often Murim Alliance Dispatch Spy, Jang. Asterisk, the scene shifts to the outskirts of Cheyenne Ma Divine Cult's mountains, covered with snow. On top, there was a cart and a person carrying a real load. This is our main character, who is carrying something. He thinks to himself, Asterisk, it was so heavy that I nearly dislocated my shoulders trying to sneak it alone away. No labor is as tough as this kind of hard job. Asterisk, he removes the cloth of the cart as he thinks. Asterisk, Yongwoo, you pig. I expected it, but you really stuff yourself a lot. Huh? Asterisk, as he opens up chest filled with gold. Asterisk, farewell, pig, Yongwoo. You were an excellent member of the demonic cult, but that's why I killed you. So this money, I will put it to good use as my compensation. Asterisk, he says, now I will take care of the cleanup later. As he covered it up again, he senses something saying, for now, and puts his hand on the door before opening it wide open. He thinks to himself, a strand of hair stuck in the door's crack. No signs of disturbance. The position of the dining table, the fold in the carpets on the floor, even the cobwebs near the window. Everything is just as I left it. As he binds his hair, he sighs in relief, saying, this should be good enough. As he took off the red strand from his hair, we get to know the reason he is this sensitive about security. It's because he is a spy. To be more precise, he is an agent of Amgak, dispatched by the Murim Alliance. Even after the peace treaty 19 years ago, the Murim Lord couldn't trust the demonic factions, so he established a secret organization to prepare for the future. Members were selected through rigorous training, and they secretly carried out numerous missions. Among them, only a handful of elite members were dispatched to the land of Cheyenne Ma for a single mission, and a single mission only, waiting for their orders. The main character is also one of them. As for his mission, just thinking about it pisses him off again. He thinks to himself, wrinkling his hair, asterisk, why the hell haven't I received my mission yet? Well, making money and having lots of subordinates is nice, but still, no matter what, living like this for 14 years without a single supply run is just ridiculous. At least, thanks to learning a skill, I've been getting by. Asterisk, but he stopped in his tracks as his emotions got serious. He says, or so I thought. It looks like he has sensed someone. A dark, looming shadow with a blue coat on is sitting right above his head. This person has antagonizing eyes. The main character also looked toward him as he thinks to himself, what the hell is with this guy? He mumbled something to himself as he flicks his hands downward and then threw something in the upward direction. This something is his blade that he used against the man before, but this time, something different happened. The blade got retaliated, and the main character was surprised as the man disappeared in an instant. Asterisk, how did I miss his movement? Asterisk, he thinks as the man moves his leg and closes in the distance behind the main character. He senses it and turns his head back with his hand and the weapon turning 360 degrees toward the man. A slice or nick of blade cut through his skin, and he gets to know that he is not an ordinary guy. If the main character lets down his guard even a bit, he might get taken out. The man who attacked the main character and the main character who is ready for retaliation, as a long barrage of punches, slashes, and whatnot occurs between them. The main character gets slashed multiple times. The man somehow avoids all of the main character's attacks. As both of their elbows greet each other, a large clash occurs between them. It looks like the main character is also using his weapon for spiraling the threads around, but the man notices it in an instant as he thinks, is that a wired dagger thread? Both of them were quite surprised by this as the main character pulled his wire dagger string, and the man was captured in an instant by him, surrounded all over the place with every inch of his body. The main character thinks to himself, good, got him for sure this time, as he strengthened his grip on the strings. The man disappeared in an instant out of those strings. The main character was quite shocked seeing this. He couldn't understand how or what happened, thinking to himself, asterisk unbelievable. He escaped from that? Just what? Asterisk as the man got up on the terrace, looking toward him menacingly, taking something out of his coat. The main character thinks, with skills like that, he's at least on par with the squad leader, as the man has a dagger in his hand and throws it with unbelievable skill and speed. The main character couldn't even notice it in time, but somehow managed to use his elbow to change its trajectory. This dagger had something, or some kind of note, bound to it. The main character was quite shocked, looking toward it as he got closer. He thinks to himself, that's Hidden Pavilion engraved on the dragon. Hidden Pavilion? He couldn't understand anything as a shockwave flaunted across his mind. The main character blurted out, don't tell me you are. But as he looked toward the terrace, the man was gone in an instant. Asterisk gone already? He vanished. Asterisk he thinks to himself. Asterisk judging by how he fled, he wasn't trying to kill me. Was he here to assess me? If that's the case, asterisk the main character looked toward the dagger and then picked it up, reading the message that was on it. We observed that it was an order. Engage Agent 103. The main character, the 17th prince of the demonic cult. Make him the young cult leader. That was the message. The main character shook with agony as he gritted his teeth. We observe him trampling the paper, laughing intently. I was wondering what grand vision they had me hiding away for 14 years, and it turns out they suddenly want me to make him the young cult leader. We observe that this person who just killed a lot of people and has booze in his hand is the 17th Prince Mao. Even the main character calls this man a lunatic. As the main character destroyed the message in an instant, gritting his teeth, he says, he's the wretched scoundrel even the cult leader has abandoned. What kind of bullcrap is this, you lunatics? As he screamed out of his wits. The scene shifts to the morning. This is Hubei, the region famous for its lush mountains and the vast Dongjiang Lake. The Murim Alliance's branch located there appears to be nothing more than an ordinary, peaceful public institution. However, this is merely a disguise to mislead outsiders. The truth, hidden deep underground within this estate, is that this place is, in fact, the headquarters of the Murim Alliance's most powerful intelligence organization, the AMGAC. Even the name of those in charge is classified. Someone opens the door and enters. This woman says, a report just came in from the messenger dispatched to Tianshan. He successfully delivered the mission to Agent 103. She says, Vice Lord of the AMGAC, Zuji Shumi, then adds, what, Grandpa? I have a question. The man says, okay, ask. But what kind of improper speech is that? How many times have I told you? You must strictly separate public and private matters here. This is the former Grand Strategist of the Murim Alliance and the Lord of Amgak, Zuji Shangmis. He says, and you still call yourself the Vice Lord after that? She apologizes to him profusely as she thinks to herself, asterisk seriously, we even came to work together earlier. So why is he acting all secretive now? Seriously, Grandpa is impossible to figure out when he's in Lord mode. Asterisk the man says, then go ahead and ask. What is it that you wish to know? Yes, it's about the mission given to Agent 103. I was curious about your intention behind it, she says. You ordered a spy who has been abandoned for 14 years to turn the demonic cult's scoundrel into the young cult leader. Isn't that practically an impossible task? He laughs in the face of the question, saying, you may be one of this era's finest rising talents, but you still have much to learn, Vice Lord. How long do you think the peace in Murim will last? He got all serious, trying to say something, but we observe him saying, 3 years at most. 3 is the most years. She was quite startled as she sat down, saying, "Only 3 years? That's right. We who have maintained this era of peace have grown old. Soon, a violent storm will sweep through the righteous, the unorthodox, and the demonic sects alike. To protect the current peace against this, simply making a simple move will not be sufficient. We must utilize every possible strategy," he says. In other words, as she looked toward the checkered piece, Unit 103 is merely one of the many clever moves we have prepared. The old man says, "Soon, the heavenly demon gene will select a successor among his 7 children. The strongest contestants are the ruthless and calculative first young lord, the bold and loyal second young lord who commands many devoted subordinates, and the third young lady, renowned for her exceptional intelligence. All 3 are variously ambitious. No matter who succeeds the heavenly demon, a second great war between the righteous, the unorthodox, and the demonic sects will be unavoidable." He says, "That means," as he put down his tea, "for the past 19 years, the seeds our Shadow Pavilion has sown are now ready to bear fruit. Not a single one shall be wasted." He adds, "This is all for the peace of the Jianghu." The girl was quiet, speechless after hearing such a large definition of peace by her grandfather, but she realized it and said, "I understand now. Thank you, Pavilion Lord," as she rises up, saying, "I will go meet the other agents now. See you at the briefing later." She left. The man sipped his drink as he put down his tea, thinking, left unattended until now, huh? That reminds me of the first time I saw that kid. The main character, a child filled with sharp, venomous resentment toward the world from the very first moment we met. Yet, despite that, he cherished his only blood relative deeply, to the point that he chose a life in the shadows in exchange for ensuring his younger sibling was adopted into a better life. But he thinks to himself, Unit 103 was never neglected because he is one of the rarest talents in the history of the Shadow Pavilion. A perfect trainee with flawless scores. Once-in-a-century genius who comprehended elder-level techniques at the age of 14 and was personally acknowledged by the Lord of the Alliance. For this very moment, we hid him away in the deepest shadows as our most lethal hidden blade. I can't wait to see Unit 103. Just how much have you grown? As we observe the image of the main character walking through the streets, a few hours ago, the village of the Bunga artisans' families gathered in the demonic cult. As the main character walks the streets, thinking, the more I think about it, the more infuriating it gets. Those damn old geezers of the Murim Alliance, they were the ones who buried us in this mountain valley, and now they sent down an order like this, even sending a master swordsman that's rare even within the dark engraving. He was silenced for a bit, then thinking, this is their way of saying, don't forget, I became a part of the dark engraving on the condition that my younger brother would be adopted. From the day they implanted poison into my heart, I have been nothing more than someone allowed only to walk toward the path they themselves have pointed at me. His eyes appeared, saying, anyway, it's fine. Given the situation, I have no choice. If they say jump, I shall jump. Then for now, let's start from here. It looks like he has reached an end. For any spy, securing a useful business connection is crucial. If we list the representative ones, there's a place that cleans up the mess dirted by missions. Beak Moon, disguised as an Anir Mount Tion, distributing the latest news of the Central Plains, the UN. And then there's this place. Outwardly, it appears to be just an ordinary study hall, but in reality, only a secret few know its true nature. A marketplace where all the demonic cult secrets are traded. This is the sewage library. They boldly put the name Zhuge, a righteous clan, on the signboard and run their business openly. Their audacity never ceases to amaze him. Well, to make a living with such shady businesses among the ill-tempered cultists, you need at least this level of skill, he thinks to himself as he opened the door and went inside. He observed someone, saying, "Was there another customer here before me?" This girl with long hair. As he thinks to himself, one of the essential traits of a spy is the ability to discern the opponent with minimal information, a height that reaches my chin, beautiful skin, graceful hair, the neckline that catches the eye. To the eyes of an ordinary person, these are just charming features of a beauty, but if you are distracted by such things, you will miss what's truly important. The essence that really matters. Asterisk, the girl turned toward him, saying, "What's with that unpleasant stare?" The main character apologized, saying, "My apologies. I found myself staring without realizing it. It's just that such a rare, exquisite beauty is hard to come by around here." We observe she was quite disgusted by that, saying, "What?" But the main character says, "Anyway, it's a pleasure to meet you, young lady. What kind of books are you looking to buy here?" "Perhaps," he says as he looks toward her, "are you searching for a secret manual to win the heart of a man you're in love with?" As he says something in her ears, she was quite speechless. The main character turned to the other side, saying, "Then let me recommend one for you." He says, "Let's see. There should be something useful around here," looking toward her with a glance. She put down a book, saying, "You're nothing more than a lowly scoundrel," and said, looking toward the main character, the audacity of harassing a woman even in a place like this. She gathered some kind of darkish energy in her hand as she says, "I hope you're prepared to face the consequences." The main character says, "I'm always prepared, but if you wish to get involved with this lowlife, it doesn't matter to me, though it wouldn't be in your best interest, miss," he says, looking toward her. She makes a disgusted face, calling him a lunatic, and says, "You should watch that mouth of yours," coming closer to him again with that disgusted face. She says, "If you wish to live to see another day." The main character gets that lunatic face on him, and, with that smug smile, we observe her bash him with her shoulder. The main character acted like she heard him. He says, "You've got quite the bold personality. I like it. Let's meet next time." As she closed the door, the main character thinks, "If you ever need book recommendations, just, well, no worries." The main character smiled speechlessly and then thinks to himself, "This should be enough for a first impression, right?" As we observe him getting seen by someone in the shop, this someone fancies fans, saying, "I was wondering who this crazy lunatic was causing a racket in broad daylight. Turns out it was you, Jang." This is the fearless owner of the bookstore, a native of Tianshan, the heart of the demonic cult, and a man who claims to be a descendant of Zhuge Liang. He says, "What do you think you're doing to my esteemed guests?" The main character replied, "Why so prickly again? Enough of that. Just get to the point." The man replied as the main character gets something out of his robe. He says, "Geez, old man, you're as rugged as ever." He put down a large pouch of golden coins on the table, slammed it, and says with a motion of silence, "A biography." The man was serious as he says, "Whose do you want?" "The seventh little demon of Tianshan." He replied, "How much of it?" "Obviously all of it," the main character says with a smug look on his face. The man says, "You're scheming something shady again, aren't you?" "Why? Curious? Want to join?" The old man cut the nonsense and says, "Just follow me." The man took him to a shelf as he adjusted a book, and a hidden room opened up. He got in, saying, "Considering who we're dealing with, there's a lot we'll need to find," flaunting his hand. The main character, with sweat on his face, looked toward all the books. It looks like a few hours have passed, and it's already evening. The main character got all the books he needed and started reading them in an instant, munching on some food as he sat right in the middle of the market. We observe the girl looking toward him as she says, "Did you find out?" It looks like someone has been keenly looking into the main character. This is Nadak, the third-rank ghost aide. He says, "As per your order, I questioned someone about this person's motives, but he only said, 'I cannot tell you.'" She was extremely shocked by this, as the person he asked always follows orders. He was quite distressed. If that really was his answer, the man says, yes, he cherished that person, so he hesitated in his response. "Shall we take further action?" She says, "No, leave it at that." He had already answered. The only one who the man wouldn't dare mention, even under my questioning, is my father and the 7 siblings. The man was quite shocked by this. We observed the woman doing something to her neck, saying, "Now I'm even more curious." Not only did that person instantly see through the sect's best technological flawless disguise, but they also had the wit to sense a killer's intent and maneuver through the situation. And now they're even digging into us. We need to find out everything about this person, she said to her servant. Their origins, their affiliations with. The woman took off her mask, and it looks like she is the third daughter of the demon lord, the eyes-blossomed sword emperor, Lady Haiyang. We observe her vanishing from the point where she was observing the main character. The main character, who closes his book, thinks, asterisk, I suppose you grasp the situation by now. Well, don't worry too much. We'll be seeing each other again soon. Asterisk taking her name, because you were my first move. He says it looks like the main character has already started with his master plan, that we get some information about the third lady. Born with the greatest intelligence and talent in Cheyenne San, an exceptionally powerful candidate for the heavenly demon despite being a woman. Furthermore, her aide by her side, named Narek, a warrior possessing martial prowess comparable to a clan leader. Even within the demonic cult, where the strong reign supreme, her level of danger is among the highest. As he completed reading the information, the main character thinks, asterisk, why did I approach her despite the risk? Isn't it quite obvious? It's because of this guy, the heavenly demon's seventh adopted son, Mao, a member of the Ma family, one of the three great houses of the demonic cult. Born with the divine physique, a physique that accumulates internal energy just by breathing, a privileged golden spoon among golden spoons, or so they say. But in reality, a dull mind, infamous as the most clueless in Cheyenne San, a laziness that even a summer grasshopper would bow to. And on top of that, he even committed the insane act of using that divine artifact bestowed by the heavenly demon as collateral for gambling debts. Despite being a young master, all his support was cut off, leaving him as nothing more than an empty shell of a scoundrel. And the only person he relies on is the third lady, and her alone. In other words, if I want to control Mao as I please, she plays a crucial role in my plan. Asterisk, as he closes the books, he sighs with dread, saying, asterisk, well, I doubt she had a good impression of me. Make the delinquent seventh young master the young cult leader? When given such a hopeless mission, what must be done? It's about deciding as quickly as possible what to do first. Asterisk, it looks like he's shoveling some dirt off. Asterisk, no matter how much of a scoundrel the seventh demon is, the seventh young master is a top-ranking figure classified as a grade 1 ghost. For someone like me, who is merely a 7th grade ghost, he is an existence I can't even approach. Therefore, the first condition to make him the little cult leader is clear, securing the position as Mao, the 7th young master's aide. Fortunately, the position of his aide has been vacant for years. As long as my application gets approved, I got a real shot at it. But there's just one problem ahead. It's that the greedy head of the counterintelligence won't let him go that easily. Asterisk, as he stops shoveling, he thinks about how to solve that. Asterisk, after all, I'll have to resort to a bribe, won't I? Oh well, asterisk can be seen. We get to know that 7 years ago, on a certain day, he was looking for a safe place to stash the wealth he embezzled through espionage, and that's when he stumbled upon this abandoned well. At the time, he never imagined that inside this well there would be such a miraculous opportunity hidden that he looked toward it, saying, "It's been a while. Good to see you again, heavenly demon. This is my heavenly demon vault." He smiles, looking toward the gold. Just looking at it fills me up, and my precious treasures. It looks even more beautiful because it's all stolen from those demonic cult lunatics and the Murim Alliance. Even 3 generations of artwork couldn't mask this kind of wealth. Now, what would be the best choice? Oh, he picks up a sword, saying, "This one is perfect. A masterwork sword mixed with the purest gold, the gum saw blade." As he pulled it out, we get to know, for that guy who's obsessed with gold and swords, this will be more than enough to make him lose his mind. All right, I'll take this with me at daybreak, he concluded. Since I'm already here, might as well mess with that thing again after so long. A wall. This is the demon wall, the faithful encounter I obtained in the heavenly demon cave. First, this white dagger, white thunder. Second, the demonic art that transforms internal energy into extremely potent lightning energy, accelerating the flow of chi explosively. Thunderclap technique. As he charges up, he inhales some air, and then the dagger was released, which hit the spot on the wall right in the middle. As lightning got absorbed by the wall, he thinks, asterisk, how good. Just a little more. Asterisk, he grits his teeth. Asterisk, more and more and more. Asterisk, it looks like lightning is seeping inside the front that was left by it. And it looks like the head of a dragon now, the eyes. If I can just fill up the eyes, then... But something happens and all the lightning gets dissipated in an instant. He looked quite shocked, but more than that, he damned it as he thought, today will finally be the day. He falls toward the ground, saying, today was my 9,820th attempt, right? Seriously, the damn body is the real problem. We get to know that he has a 9 apertures physique, 9 holes in his dantians. So no matter how much internal energy he gathers, it just leaks away. How am I supposed to make any progress like this? He thinks, asterisk, thanks to the elixir of Thunderlord Ginseng, my body adapted to withstand thunder energy, allowing me to make some progress. But for years, I haven't been able to advance a single step beyond that. I can definitely feel it, though. The moment I completely fill that mural with thunder energy, a great transformation will come to me. Asterisk, as he thinks about that, he remembers, asterisk, nothing I can do about it. It's not like today is the only day. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow will be the day. Asterisk, as he left, thinking, by the way, what should I have for dinner? The next day has arrived, and at the Counterintelligence Corps headquarters, it looks like something is going on. The man says, an unexpected guest has arrived, and my hands are trembling because of it. This is the leader of the Counterintelligence Corps, the 4th ranked ghost. He says, I am at your service, miss. We get to know that this is someone we know. He asked, what brings her to this place? The 3rd young lady, it looks like she has found out about the main character, says, it's a bit disappointing. Must we have a specific reason to visit each other? Or perhaps, in the meantime, you've grown closer to my 2 older brothers, and now I make you uncomfortable. Ho ho, what could a mere subordinate like me have in common with the young lords? He replied, saying, I simply put extra effort into carrying out orders from the one who pays my salary. She replied, well, considering how much your life is worth, you should be well compensated. But that's not why I'm here today. So let's get straight to the point. The 3rd squad leader, Jang. Hearing this name, he gulps some saliva as the woman says, with an extremely serious face, was the boy sent by you? It looked like exciting moments were coming up. The young lady repeated herself, saying, were you the one who sent that man? Otherwise, the chief of the Counterintelligence Corps would have no reason to dig into our affairs. He was quite startled and replied, digging into your affairs? Do you mean that guy, Jang? I'm saying this in case you misunderstand, but I have never ordered something like that. This is something I never even considered, so this is dumbfounding. She had a bit of hesitation and unruliness in her eyes that we get information about the chief of the Counterintelligence Corps. With his sly appearance and behavior, he may seem frivolous at first, but in his cult, there isn't a single person who takes him lightly. That's because at one time, he was considered one of the candidates for the 2nd rank Most Leader Hall, a title that only 5 within the cult could obtain. His martial prowess is so overwhelming that even among the cult leader's children and the 7 altars, he ranks within the top 50, and everyone, in fact, is aware of this. Though he was demoted to the position of the 4th rank ghost and head of the Counterintelligence Corps for some unknown reason, the Counterintelligence Corps remains a force that cannot be underestimated. That's why it's even more shocking that he conspired with her 2 brothers to deceive her. It's only the right thing to exclude him right here and right now, she thinks to herself, even if it means shedding blood. When we observe the chief thinking to himself, he muses, judging by the way she's acting, it seems like that arrogant lunatic has gone and done something again. I knew that lunatic was obsessed with money, a pervert who feels pleasure in power, and a scoundrel who's out of his mind. But he really went and caused trouble, didn't he? He certainly did. He said aloud, I do not have a single idea about this, but it seems that you are here to investigate that man. So, to put it simply, he's an absolutely brilliant guy when it comes to handling matters. All of them were speechless for quite a bit of time, as she said, I hope that's not all the information you have on that guy. You see, there's a limit to how much I can keep my courtesy. He replied, of course, how would I even dare to do that to you? But before that, there is one thing I need to clarify. Though you perhaps extorted his money, he said that with a serious face. Both of them were quite baffled after hearing these words as the chief continued. Or did you insult him to his face or even resort to violence? Her aide retaliated, saying, "What nonsense are you talking about, corps leader? What do you take the young lady for?" "Well," he replied, "if the answer is no, then it's a relief. If any of it were the case, you'd be in for trouble in a lot of ways." The young lady thought to herself, to react this way, even in this situation, is this guy Jiang truly not related to the chief at all? But if that was his personal action, then for what? If you're not involved with that guy in that way, you won't need to be concerned. Jiang is that kind of person, after all. She replied, "What do you mean by that?" The man explained, "It's natural that you may not know, but not a single member of the cult around here doesn't know. No, it's more like they should not know about it. From a 4th rank ghost up to the 5th rank ghost, no matter how powerful they were. Strangely enough, anyone who was entangled in a bad relationship with him is now tied to irrefutable evidence and exposed as spies by him. I don't think I need to explain how it ended for them. After all, you must be well aware of it, aren't you? He's quite a professional one. That's why we call him this. It's like if things go wrong, no matter who the opponent is, he's someone who will bite and kill until the end, a mad dog. Of course, those fangs would never touch the young lady, but wouldn't it be better to not get involved with such a person in the first place? Well, that is just the advice of this foolish mentor to his former disciple. So I can't help it if you let it go in one ear and out the other." The lady got up, saying, "If that is something you don't know about, forget it. I will reprimand him myself later. If he is innocent, he will leave. If not, we will never meet again. So let's forget about it. Isn't that the way for you to survive, Chief?" She said this frivolously, then fell silent. As she was about to leave, we observed someone calling the chief's name. This was the main character, who opulently declared, "I am here." Hearing his voice, the chief was quite startled by this. It looked like even the young lady, as well as her aide, recognized this voice. The chief was startled. Why is this lunatic, who's supposed to be offshore, showing up for work? What a disaster. "The two of you, quickly get behind that folding screen," he screamed toward them. They showed a bit of reluctance, but we observed the chief pushing all of them toward the painting, or, to be exact, behind it. He explained to them, "They say you should strike while the iron is hot. Isn't this the perfect chance to take a look at the guy you are going to reprimand anyway? Stay here for now," he said. "I will figure out that lunatic's intentions. Until then, stay quiet here, got it?" "What in the world is happening?" they tried to say, but it looked like the main character was asking the chief for entry. He just barged in, saying, "Why weren't you answering?" The chief, who was drinking tea, said, "Watch this blatant, awkward silence. That's exactly the reaction of those spies who are caught in the act of doing something." The chief replied, "What do you mean by doing something, huh? More importantly, why are you here, barging into someone's chamber without permission?" The main character replied, "I mean, when did I ever come in here with permission? Why are you acting like this out of nowhere? Are you hiding a woman or something?" "Hiding what?" These words were overheard by those two behind the painting, thinking to themselves, "What are we going to do, young lady? If you just give me the command, I will make him pay the price for his rudeness." "No, let's go along with this for a while," she exclaimed, saying, "Whether that lunatic really has no connection with the counterintelligence chief, or if he could be involved with someone else, this might be our chance to reveal everything." The main character said, "You're quite picky today, out of all days. Forget it, just to prove this quickly. I'll leave right after," as he put the letter on the table. The chief was startled, asking, "What's this? Is this an application for a search warrant, you vicious lunatic? Who are you targeting this time? Coming on your day off and causing all this chaos?" The main character just sighed, saying, "It's nothing like that. Just hurry and stamp it. I'm also quite busy." The chief opened the letter, saying, "All right, fine. What's the point of saying anything to someone who doesn't listen? This will work out perfectly." I was about to, but as he read the letter, he cut his words off and fell into a greenish silence. Then he said, "Hey, what is this?" "What's that, you ask?" The main character replied, "It's a request for a position transfer." We observed the face of the chief, who is absolutely deranged by this and angry to his core. The main character replied, "Our chief is finally getting senile. How could you not be able to read already? How are you going to work without me now? He said, as we saw the chief throwing the letter toward the main character. The main character dodged it with just a slight nick. Lunatic, you finally crossed the line, he replied. After all this time, you're now even pulling the cult leader's children into your schemes. Huh? My schemes? Are you out of your mind? The main character replied. What are you on about all of a sudden? What did I do to you? He said. As we observed the chief coming toward him with a relentless attack and a slash with his sword, the main character was quite baffled by this. The main character tried to stop him, saying, "Stop. Let's just use our words. I feel really wronged here, you know?" The man said, "I should be the one feeling wrong for talking to an underling like you. What's that written all over there, then? Why would you even think of going to that person? Is it not some kind of hidden agenda? No, forget it. I'm tired of cleaning up after your crap now." As he tried to strike, saying, "Let's just die together today," we observed the main character, who was just sitting there as an attack came toward him, saying, "Really? You're still acting like this even when I denied it?" As the main character used his sword with a slash, the chief's sword was cut in half by the main character's legendary blade. As the blade fell to the ground, the chief's emotions could be seen on his face. That blade is the Golden Sun Deering blade. Where did you get something so precious like this? The main character said to him, "Chief, I'm really serious about it. How desperate do you think I am to even bring you a gift like this? Just in case I couldn't convince you with my words." The chief was a bit baffled, saying, "A gift?" The main character handed him the sword, saying, "Yes, just take the new sword and let go of an old sword like me this time. I must go at all costs." These words were heard by the young lady. The main character was quite serious as he said, "I want to go to the 7th young master's side." He continued, "This time, I must go at all costs to the 7th young master's side." The chief was quite baffled, but the main character continued, saying, "I've made enough money now. I'm tired of living as a 7th rank, bowing to others. But if I become an aide to his lordship's children, I can go straight to being a 3rd rank ghost, regardless of my background. That's all I want. I guess it's time for me to go after some honor now." The chief just called him a lunatic, saying he's serious this time. The main character replied, "So please help this subordinate just this once. We shared good times together, after all." The chief replied, "What did we share, you fool?" He thought to himself, "Well, at least this time, it seems like he doesn't have any ulterior motives. He just has a desire for honor." But even if that conversation just now proves his innocence, since he's already on the 3rd young lady's list, support will be difficult. It would be better to make him give up quickly. But he got a message from the young miss. As we observed him calming down, he thought for a minute and said, "You're really not going to regret this later, are you?" The main character said, "Oh yes, what's wrong with you? I am myself. Do I look like the kind of person to do that kind of thing? So I beg you, chief, please. It would be even better if you could write me a recommendation letter." The chief was quietly hesitant for a time, but said, "What a fool." As we observe him stamping the letter in an instant, he said, "Fine, here you go." The main character was quite delighted after this. As the song was taken from his hand, he said, "Take this and find Madame Ginseng in Moon River Village. She's in charge of the Sentinel exam." The main character replied, "Good heavens, thank you for the kind explanation, Chief." The chief replied, "I'm not doing this just because of this sword you gave me. Encouraging my subordinate is merely what I should do as your superior. So, since you're going to do it anyway, do it well. Do you understand?" The main character said, "Chief, before saying such things, shouldn't you wipe your mouth first?" As he was salivating, we observed the main character saying, "Well, anyway, I'll be on my way now. I've endured the hardships for the past 10 years alone, but still, I'm a bit grateful. Don't forget me, Jang. Wherever you go, you're still a member of my corps, so don't be disheartened by what others say. Of course, I know better than anyone else that you're not that kind of person." As the main character joined his hands and smiled at once, saying, "Thank you for everything up until now, Chief," he left, and the door was closed behind him. That we observed the chief saying, "Your sound transmission to send him to Madame Ginseng. I have clearly delivered it. But as you can see, that guy seems to have other intentions besides his own desires. So must you go that far, young lady?" As he looked toward her, the young lady replied, It seems you really care for this subordinate, given that you're worrying so much. It's not like you. However, knowing his impure, torturous nature, it's another problem. You should also know how presumptuous his words are. I will personally let him know. But the main character, who was hearing this all from the outside, thought to himself, that's why what she'll be saying right now. The third young lady. Since it's you, there's no way it would be otherwise. A sentinel's position isn't something just anyone can take. Or rather, it's a position one shouldn't reach for. A sentinel is someone who becomes the right or left hand of the highest position in the cult, the first-hand demons, enjoying power below one person and above all others when that one person deserves to sit on the leader's throne. That's why only outstanding individuals suitable for it serve as aides to the young masters, from Na Suk, one of the former 5 Dragon Hall leaders, to the others causing chaos in the martial world. There isn't anyone who hasn't made a name for themselves. I can imagine that the third young lady's serious personality couldn't take the remark of a mere 7th-rank ruffian who dares to commit such opposition after leering at a woman in the library. She would likely punish me under the pretense of a test for the sake of maintaining discipline in the mountain. But the main character was happy with this. He is now ready to gain some solid backing. I look forward to seeing you soon, he said, taking her name. Just the two of us intimately. We'll have a moonlit night later. Moon River Village, located at the banks of Moonlight Lake, is the most extravagant establishment of the 10,000 mountains, filled with pleasures like singing, gambling, and prostitution. Of course, at the Jade Immortal Guest House, as the door opened, we observed someone welcoming. "Dear customer." A girl ran toward her, saying, "Are you alone here? Or perhaps you're looking for someone? If you have any other important requests, please let me know." "That man over there," she pointed somewhere. As the woman looked toward him, it was the main character. She asked, "When did he get here?" "Excuse me, a man?" "Oh, you're right. You mean the person over there?" The main character was sipping his drink. "He's our regular guest. He's a true man who has been staying in the annex on the highest floor for the last half-month, throwing money around like it's nothing." "How pathetic. Has he really just been drinking for the past half-month?" She gritted her teeth. The servant said, "Excuse me, what did you say?" She replied, "It's nothing." "Anyway, did you just say the Jade Immortal Guest House has an annex? I've never heard of this before." It looks like it's understandable that she hasn't heard. This place is only for those who qualify as the most honored guests of our cult. I don't think he's an ordinary man. If you're interested, should I put in a word for you?" She said, "What?" "Please, just give me some service fee, then I'll do my utmost." The main character, who was laughing and drinking his drink, caught our attention. We observed the young lady in her hidden attire saying, "What kind of nonsense? Oh my. How can this be?" A voice came from somewhere as the main character yelled, "What a coincidence this is. Aren't you the prickly young lady from the study hall?" Both of them were quite startled hearing the main character say this out loud. Oh my, I had my doubts, but I was right. Sure enough, I couldn't have mistaken that impressive aura. Everyone looked toward her. "You must be talking about that woman over there. I can't really see well because of that hat," someone said as she trembled and muttered the main character's name. "That lunatic." The main character said to her, "Don't just stand there. Please come over here. Now that we've met like this, let's share a drink." She jumped out and lunged toward the main character. The main character said, "Seriously, they say if a coincidence happens twice, it's destiny. But isn't it particularly peculiar that we both ended up in a place like this?" We observed her sitting down with veins popping, saying, "Even after being warned like that mouth of yours is still spilling nonsense." She said with an angry look, "Do you not know the concept of being careful with your words? Well, is that really what's important right now? Originally, this place, the Jade Immortal Guest House, is where people usually drink alcohol and use the night as an excuse to indulge in each other's company. So let's talk openly here, okay? About why you've come to see me," he said, taking her name, the third young lady, who was using a human skin mask to hide her identity. We observed everyone's attention grabbed toward her as they took a photo out, saying, "Yes, that's it." The appearance description I received from her matches exactly. Everyone get ready. In exactly 7 minutes, we'll get rid of those things. As everyone gathered their aura, it looked like a disdainful fight was about to happen in a few minutes. We observed both of them at the table, discussing with each other. The girl was absolutely mind-boggled, thinking, what did he just say? On top of knowing my identity, he predicted that I would be coming here for him? What in the world is happening? She heard, just kidding. It's a joke. Why are you taking it all so seriously? These words came from the main character, who continued, I mean, it doesn't make sense anyway, right? Why would a noble young lady be wandering around such a lonely village? If her identity somehow gets exposed, her secret adventures will be the only thing people talk about on the street. There's no way the young lady would do something so foolish like that. So let's stop with the useless talk and get to business now. Tell me, what do I have to do? He asked her. She replied, I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you asking me that question? The main character explained, because it's you who is my real examiner. Or do you want me to call you by that fake name, Madame Ginseng? She was yet again mind-boggled as she thought to herself, damn it, so he even saw through that. Just as he said, Madame Ginseng doesn't exist in real life. Even the place he was told to go to was nothing more than a place full of dangerous traps. However, how could he have known about that? He replied, my job as someone working with intelligence is like that. Investigating, searching, and interrogation. Naturally, you'll get to know things others don't, even the deepest secrets. In the end, there's nothing you don't know. And then, someone claiming to be the examiner suddenly shows up in the middle of an artisan village without me knowing. Something smelled very fishy, so I decided not to go. Instead, I decided to wait here so that the real examiner would come and find me. That's you. Passing her the sake, he asked, will that answer the question you've been thinking about in your head? She was a bit stunned but thought to herself, by any chance, if he had survived, I would have spared him from the punishment and even reconsidered him for the position. But who thought that he'd approach the situation in this way? As she gulped down the drink, she said, I must compliment you on the thinking here. However, you still shouldn't have come. She emerged with an order, saying, it was a very clear order from someone of a higher position, and it's your duty as someone inferior to obey. Isn't that right? The main character got up from his seat and said, that is true indeed. I sincerely apologize for being unable to fulfill my duty. Please forgive me for this mistake, as he bowed his neck. She was quite startled by this, thinking to herself, I thought that he would stubbornly argue, but he quickly accepted his own mistakes. Fill the glass, she ordered. As the main character filled it with alcohol, she said, tell me a reason why I would choose you as one of the young master sentinels. It's a position where children from noble families have met their deaths overnight. What can you do as a commoner with no family or status to back you up? Though that's a rather harsh way to put it. He said, I can overcome that much. I will make him so powerful that he will be named as one of the top 3 young masters out of the 7 within 1 year. Will that be enough of an answer? She was absolutely mind-boggled out of her wits, thinking to herself, what an absurd statement. He's saying that he'll bring me or one of my 2 brothers down? I heard that you're crazy. The rumors proved to be true. Thank you for your compliment, the main character replied. However, she said, anyone can make claims. The crucial thing here is whether you have the skills to fulfill the claims that you're making. That is very true once again. Now we're finally on the same page. Then prove it to me, she said as she poured the drink into the main character's cup. She continued, that you're someone capable of taking care of a few annoying rats. It looked like she sensed the alarming people as she laughed. Haha, I've got no choice here then. Since it's an order from my examiner, I'll cover the rear. What side do you want to take care of? He asked. She removed her hat, saying, I guess I have to acknowledge you for having the guts to struggle with me, getting involved right now. Do as you wish. As both of them cheered their cups together, it looked like a barrage of attacks was already banging on them. One of the men said, take down the girl first. Our mission was to, but in the next second, something came toward him. It was the cup from the lady, which hit him in the face, and his face was blown off. It looked like the lady was quite powerful as she exerted her aura. The other companions of that man said, what the hell? A mere cup? Nobody told us she was this strong. Just what? But it looked like that man was also in quite a stingy place as she came close with the weapon in her hand, and in one stroke, a lot of blood splattered once and for all. All of his meridians were crushed by her and the chopsticks she was holding. As the man went down and blood profusely covered every surface of the being, we observed her lunatic, demonic eyes, which turned toward another assassin who begged for someone to save him, but was neutralized in an instant. IT looked like the ball of acid from his hands was bursting near her, and the liquid all flowed toward her as she tried to protect herself from it. She thought to herself, "Is this poison?" But she soon realized that this substance was only eating her clothes up, an acid that melts off the surface of one's skin. It looked like they never intended on assassinating her. They had planned to reveal her identity in front of everyone here and expose her as a nymphomaniac who hid away in an artisan's village, blinded by lust. She thought about how her brothers were now going so far as to use such dirty tricks on her. How petty can they be? But the main character barged in, saying, "Oh my, look at those rude lunatics. Do you not know that it's disrespectful to make a lady reveal her bare face?" As he covered her up with a blanket of some type, he said to her, "Isn't that right, Examiner?" It looked like there was quite a nice panel going on. In the next second, all the acid was on the floor, and the wounded, along with some killed assassins, were also on the floor. She thought to herself, "He took care of them in that short span of time? I see. So he's not all talk after all." The main character handed her the robe as she took it and gathered it all around her face, hiding her identity, saying, "Come to the 7th young master's place in 4 days. Make sure you keep your promise. If you do not succeed in doing so, I will rip out that tongue of yours myself." As she said that, she was gone in an instant. The main character thought to himself, "I know about that. Stay safe, Madame Jean sang," he said. As we observed the scene changing, it was nighttime in the palace. It looked like the main character was resting, and a woman was in front of him. The main character said, "Did you get rid of those corpses properly?" She replied, "Yes. They've been taken care of so that they won't pose a problem for us later. I've prepared everything as you ordered me to, Master. But I'm wondering if that won't be enough." "Don't worry about that," he said. "It's been annoying that someone broke the furniture. That was expensive during all this commotion, but all of the guys acted their parts very well, just as planned." It looked like even this was part of the main character's plan. The main character, who was reading a book with a lady standing in front of him, said, "Looking at this scale of sales ledger, the performance has increased again in such a short time. This level of achievement couldn't have been done with ordinary efforts. You must have worked hard, Hong Ran." She replied, "Your words are too kind, Master. Even if it were a more difficult task, is there anything this humble servant cannot do? This is the property, Master, or rather, the owner of the property, Hong Ran." She said, "It's to repay your kindness, Master. You made me who I am today." The main character replied, "Oh, not that kindness talk again. I've told you multiple times it was just for our mutual benefit." "Well, I can't say I don't understand. This woman's real name is Mu Yong Ran. She was kidnapped by the demonic religion before she came of age and was considered missing in the martial world. I happened to find and rescue her during a mission in the past. For some reason, we've been together ever since. Now, with her innate intelligence and my support, she became the proprietress of Bonham Village, serving as my right hand. If I were to define our relationship, it's a mutually beneficial agreement where we each gain advantages through each other. Though it seems her thoughts might be a bit different from mine," he said. "Well, anyway, that's fine. So then, shall we hear about the stories accumulated at this place?" We learned that there are various ways for a spy to obtain information, sometimes by buying it with money through local informants or receiving covert support from one's organization. But for a spy like him, thrown into the heart of enemy territory, a more long-term and reliable personal source of information is necessary. What I've worked hard to acquire for this purpose is this very place. "This place belongs to me," the main character said. The woman replied, "According to your orders, Master, I've gathered information. The current state of the demonic religion is truly the calm before the storm." He replied, "That's to be expected. Many things in the faction will change, depending on who becomes the next young lord, especially the movements of the two most powerful factions within the demonic religion. The Seventh Elder in charge of judiciary affairs, and the Five Dragon Party overseeing administration. Those two main forces are the biggest topics of discussion. Depending on who they support, the outcome of the young lord selection will be determined. What do you think, Hongran? Who do you think will side with whom? She replied, well, if I may offer my humble opinion, the first young lord, Xian, is meticulous and cruel in everything he does. He's considered the closest to being the leader among the current young lords. On the other hand, the second young lord is full of spirit with his actions. He treats his subordinates like friends, earning him many loyal followers. Therefore, I believe the elders seeking stability will support the first young master, while the Five Dragon Party elders will desire to bring in the second one. He replied by asking, so you're saying the power structure will be divided based on the temperaments shown by the two young lords? Then what do you think will happen to the third lady? I know that she has the deepest trust of the leaders. The woman replied with a bit of silence, then said, a talented person shines even when hidden, an expression meaning that a person of great talent will naturally become known to others, even if they try to stay hidden. She certainly possesses outstanding qualities that stand out even among the young lords. But because of that, she will isolate herself even more. The first and second lords will see that temperament as a threat. They'll try to bring her down as soon as possible. At most, in half a year, there's a high chance she'll fall within that time. The main character just thought about it. My prediction is the same, but we can't let her fall that quickly. At least not until that lunatic seventh son settles down. She'll need to act as the shield until then. He got up from the chair, saying, there's already more than one or two things to worry about. How is that seventh lunatic doing? Is he still a mess? She replied, oh yes, as you ordered. For the past few days without charge, we've been treating him like a VIP. But he comes every day with some ruffians, enjoying drinking and entertainment. The damage to our establishment is not insignificant. That guy can't even control his nature, either. The main character replied, well, it's fine. So long as you keep accommodating him for now, soon enough we'll strip him of every last penny. We'll get it back all at once. It looked like a few days had passed. At the southernmost edge of Valha village, in a gloomy bamboo forest deep within, you could see a big estate, a house, a manor that looked obviously ominous from the outside. Really, I didn't mean to come here, a messenger said as he stood in front of the seventh lord. He continued, I just received an order to deliver a message. That's all, seventh young lord. Hey, messenger, don't say it again, the man grunted. Who's coming in 2 days? We observed the messenger shakily saying, the one chosen by the third mistress herself. She said she had sent an aide by his side. She said to welcome him warmly, her top talent, selected through a rigorous test. The man said, what nonsense are you blabbing about? As he grabbed the man and tried to strangle him, saying, what? Welcome them warmly? Don't you know how all the so-called aides who have come before were chased away, one after another? Those faces that came confidently. How many days do you think it took for them to leave in tears? The man tried to apologize, saying, breathe. I cannot breathe, please. As he was let go, the seventh young master said, still, since it's someone Big Sister sent, I can't just kick them away right now. So what's that guy's name? The man said his name is Jang. We observed him getting the reply. Well then, they must have some position at least. Given what happens, they probably won't be at the level of sect leader, deputy sect leader, or something. Maybe not a deputy sect leader. The man asked, then they're a unit leader? A third unit leader of the counterintelligence unit. The messenger confirmed it. The man was quite shocked by this as he bafflingly looked toward the messenger, saying, unit leader isn't even close to a sect leader. It's way below even branch leaders. One of those lackeys. The man yelled, of course. It looked like he broke his bong with his hand. Hearing this, he continued, I'm asking just in case, but does the kid have any backing, or are they some illegitimate child of a prestigious family? The man replied, no, as far as I know, they're probably a commoner from the suburbs. The man was quite surprised by hearing this as he smiled, saying, "A commoner, haha, so a perfect match for a bottom feeder like me." He laughed very loudly as he said, "I wonder, I see why." Suddenly an aide, "My big sister must have noticed her little brother's poverty lately and is trying to fill my pocket with some random guy. Yes, that must be it. Otherwise, that wise person wouldn't have picked such an unheard of guy as my aide, right?" He said as we observed him hitting the messenger on the back playfully. "Thank you for this news. This is just great, that's great. Well then, when he arrives, I'll strip him down to his underwear and kick him out naked." He made a plan, saying, "I won't have to worry about booze money for a while if that happens. Now that that's settled, get lost. Make sure to tell big sister I'm grateful." We saw the messenger say, "I understand," and add, "I'll take my leave." But the man stopped him before that and put his hand forward, saying, "Leave your money as well. Everything that you've got. Leave it in my hands." We observed how the messenger got out of the premises of the manor and said, "Damn it, this is why I didn't want to come here." As all of his money had been taken, he muttered, "That good for nothing. He's even more of a blockhead than the rumors suggest." His mind wanders a bit too, but then again, now that I've seen him, he just seems like an immature brat. It's a bit ambiguous. Well, I guess it's fortunate for him. If he had been an outright unbearable piece of trash, even if it was the mission I had to conclude, I would have considered killing him in an instant. It looked like this messenger was none other than the main character, who was judging the man or trying to guess his nature. It seemed even the main character was pissed off, saying, "Even so, how dare he empty my pockets?" Looking toward the manor, he thought, "By the way, this main character is only lunatic for two things. First is stealing money, and second is ending people." We saw some droplets of saliva on the floor, and it looked like the seventh young lord was on the floor, grunting his stomach out, in front of whom the main character stood idly. The man said, "Who is this lunatic?" The main character, standing in front of the man, replied, "You, what are you doing right now?" The main character thought to himself, "As I thought, I can't let this slide. Time for Big Brother to teach him a lesson." While at the Muram Alliance Hubby branch headquarters, the wise branch leader was reading the reports with a mask on her face, thinking, "Good, the infiltration of Vision operation is going well in each region. At this rate, we should be able to establish a more solid information network on the events set and demonic region sites." Thinking to herself, she wondered, "But why make me wear a mask when I'm the only one who comes in here anyway? And why can't I turn on the lights? My eyes are hurting so badly from deciphering these specially processed ciphers. There's not a single thing that's easy to read. Grandpa, I won't have any eyes left at this rate." She even had a realization that she should change her job. "I'm starting to get sick of smelling dust in this gloomy room. Maybe I should look for work in a summer palace," she mused as she looked somewhere. IT looked like she had gotten a report from the main character. She wasn't expecting much, but figured he was doing something at least. She went toward reading it and got alarmed at once. Her eyes boggled out as she read the sentence, "Entering the palace." She thought to herself, "What? Entering the palace? Does that mean they've gotten into the 7 small places? How long has it been since we sent them on the mission? Don't tell me they're really trying to make the good-for-nothing 7th young lord into the next region leader. Is that even possible?" It looked like they were back at the manor of the young lord, and the main character was finally coming to greet him. He was outside the manor, having entered through the gate, and stopped at a place, saying, "Well, I came to notice it when I came as a messenger before, but from the overgrown weeds in the courtyard to the trash scattered everywhere, this place is just a completely abandoned house, and nothing more than that." Thinking to himself, "By the way, what was that up to? By the way, that's the name of the 7th young lord. I know it's a household without any family members, but it seems unusually quiet. Don't tell me that guy, even though it's high noon, is still in bed." As he stood outside his room, the man was snoring loudly. The main character was quite short-tempered and sighed a breath, saying, "7th young lord, are you in there? I am Jang, who has been appointed as your aide. Could you spare a moment of your time?" A bit of silence followed, but then he was ordered to come in. Astounded, the main character tried to open the door, saying, "Thank you, then I may." It looked like the fist of the man had broken through the door, coming toward the main character. The man, who was sure he would hit the main character, seemed very arrogant, saying, "Welcome to my place. Unit leader nobody. I'll consider your greeting received. So leave your money pouch and scram unless you want to get beaten." But as he looked toward his arm, the main character had grabbed it while ducking down. He couldn't understand what was happening and realized the main character had dodged it, but it was too late. He was pulled over near the main character in one go. And with a disgusting face that he made, it looked like the main character's knee was there to hit or greet his face once and for all. With a knee to the stomach, a large scream was elicited and the man was on the ground with his saliva on the floor. The main character, with a smug face, thought to himself, as expected, not just a simple lunatic. I guess I can just let you off. In the demonic region, there are 3 prestigious families who have monopolized key positions, including those directly assisting the leaders. The wise devil sage, who has merit in resolving the Shane's conflict. Elder Xian of Mount Zion, the cruel military commander unmatched in loyalty and bravery. And the third, the Ma Young family. He is considered a rank even above them. The tactical serpent, who has held the position of first elder for 4 generations. This first elder is Ma Ilsong of the Ma family. It looks like the 7th lord is from that family as well. He is the descendant of one of the demonic religion's prestigious bloodlines. He was coincidentally selected by the religion leader who visited the family and became the religion leader's adopted son. To others, his life might have seemed like a path covered with flower petals, but in reality, it was nothing more than a thorny path filled with rotten seeds because the 7th young lord was born as an illegitimate child who was mistreated and made to sweep the family courtyard. That must have been the case at that time, that the one the Ma family was pushing as the religion leader's adopted son was the son of their patriarch. That's right, so the family could not help but be greatly flustered. The illegitimate child that had been neglected caught the religion leader's eye while sweeping the courtyard. From a Ma family's perspective, it was truly a case of the servant becoming the master. Outwardly, they held a feast celebrating it as a family celebration, but it was just a superficial show of appearances. Among those in the know, it was already accepted that the boy would be an absolutely abandoned existence. There were even opinions that the religion leader had made a political move to keep the family in check. We observe the main character's right-hand woman thinking to herself, "You already know all of this?" Many of our informants sweated bullets to get this information. "Is there anything in this demonic religion that you don't know, Master?" "That's right," the main character said. Seeing first Elder Ma Song supporting the young Lord Xian instead of Ma Ho, we can consider it a foregone conclusion. The main character replied, "That old man is really something. How cruel. Even if he is only half his blood, to neglect him to such an extent. But to make a guy like that the next religion leader? What on earth is that old coot from the Ambak thinking? Has he gone senile or something? But that's not likely for this old man, is it? Well, anyway, the conclusion is that Ma Ho, that idiot, has his own story too. We observe him on the ground once again with saliva and the smug face of the main character on top of him, thinking, perfect, it's happening. I know him very well. This is the ideal technique method for teaching such immature brats. The man tried to muster out some words, saying, "You lunatic, what are you doing right now?" The main character put on a show, saying, "How could this be? Oh no, aren't you the 7th young lord? I thought it was a sneaky attack from an enemy." And before I knew it, the man couldn't understand anything. But the main character, touched by himself, said, "I am truly sorry for such rudeness at our first meeting. I am so ashamed, I don't know what to do with myself." The man, who was sweating all over, thought to himself, "You little bastard," and then fell unconscious in an instant. The main character thought to himself, "Nice to meet you," taking his name, and said, "Let's get along well from here on out. Shall we, brother?" As his eyes opened up, we observed him screaming and waking up with a jolt, saying, "What happened? This is my room. Don't tell me that lunatic knocked me out and then left? He even fixed the door he smashed? No way. What kind of crazy lunatic would that be?" He found a letter near him. As he opened it up and read, he thought, "What's this about? You seem tired, so I'll take my leave for today." I'll visit you formally again in 2 days. Yes, let's do that. Assistant Jang. He gritted his teeth, reading that. Say what? Let's do that. Who the hell does he think he is, giving me such an order? Has this unit leader, nobody really lost his mind? As we observe him tearing the letter into pieces, he thought to himself, come to think of it, that crazy lunatic, I wasn't wrong about seeing him at that time. That lunatic was definitely smiling, looking toward me. We observe him tearing off all the papers, saying, that's right, he's no ordinary guy, is he? You'd better prepare yourself, Jang. I'll give you one hell of an initiation. The scene shifted to Tian Shan. This is where all demons originated from. Anarchy cultivated as the hotbed of the demonic path. Tens of thousands of cult members who sought loyalty to the cult leader took root here and long since formed a small country of their own. Hence, the new region's control doesn't reach everyone. Some factions freely form organizations and gain power. Among such groups, the Black Dragon faction of the young Tia, a former 6th grade ghost, has dominated the whole village for quite some time. It can be called an organization with a solid foundation. The 7th Lord sat beside them, exuding some kind of energy as the man right beside him thought to himself, what the hell is happening? Usually his skill is wild. Why is the mood like this today? This was the faction boss of the Black Dragon faction. Let's try to match the mood first, he thought. As the man spat out, 7th Young Lord, what brings you to this humble place without notice? We were just playing among ourselves. If you're bored, would you like to join? The man lashed out, saying, do I look like I'm in the mood for that? The man apologized, saying no. He greeted with a reply, saying, forget it. I have an errand for you to run. There's someone bothering me, so I need you to take care of him. His name is Jang. He's going to be my aide starting tomorrow. Hearing this, all of them were in quite a shock. The leader said, pardon? If he's your aide, that means he's at least a third-rate ghost, a super expert, right? You want us to catch such a monster? What kind of puppy's funeral are you talking about? He thought to himself, what should we do about this? We already accepted another job. It'd be difficult to start right away. But the man slammed his fist on the table, breaking it in one instant, saying, if it's urgent, I could send word to someone else. The leader was quite shocked and startled, thinking, he broke it with his bare hands? The 200 yuan table with steel reinforcement? You don't have time, really. As they got threatened by the 7th Lord, they said, no, no, no. We have plenty of time. We're absolutely overflowing with time. The man then said, but, young master, no matter how low life we are, how can we possibly deal with someone as noble as your aide? He got the reply, why have you been whining so long? Don't get scared before anything happens. The guy I mentioned is just a 7th grade ghost, so don't worry. Pardon, the man said. 7th grade ghost, you say? He's the one who's supposed to be your aide, right? He agreed, saying, that's what I've said. This is someone the heavens would lament. It looked like the so-called spirit of the leader was in full high colors as he said, where do you find such arrogant lunatics? How dare a mere 7th grade ghost soil the young Master Lord's mood? Don't worry, we'll make sure to teach him a lesson he won't forget. The 7th young master, suddenly feeling confident, said, then tomorrow morning, gather some useful guys around. If you're late, you're dead. Got it. Of course, these people said. How could I possibly be late? Take care on your way, young lord, they said as the man walked out of the shop. The expressions on their faces changed, saying, finally, this ruffian is gone. The guy only shows up when he needs some kind of help, I swear. Anyway, I'd better gather the boys quickly. What was that 7th grade ghost name again? It's Jang, the man beside him said. All right, Jang, we observed the leader saying. Who are you? Don't you know only executives are allowed to be here in the young lord's meeting? The man there apologized. I'm so sorry. I'm new here, so I didn't know. I'll leave right away. How are they training kids nowadays? Good grief, he said. But that guy, how long has he been here? The man wandered outside their so-called sect. The man laughed and said, anyway, that arrogant 7th Lord, as expected of him, he really acts like this, doesn't he? It looked like it was the main character who said, well, fine. This level of defiance is necessary. It'll make it so much more satisfying to educate him later on. The next day, in the morning at the manor of the seventh lord, it looked like the people had all gathered here. The man said to the seventh lord, "Everything's already ready, right?" The man agreed, saying, "If I had slacked off on your orders, I'd have been dead. So I've gathered only the toughest and roughest of them all, the battle-hardened men." I wasn't going to brag, but in the Tiger Dragon party, where I was a 7th grade ghost would barely qualify as a horseshoe polishing gatekeeper. What could such a guy do in front of our man? I guarantee he'll be on his knees begging for mercy. He'd be lucky not to wet himself. As we observed someone calling the boss, saying, "He's right here," both of their attention turned there. The main character had arrived, and in front of him were a lot of people. The 7th young lord thought to himself, "So he's finally here." That so-called unit leader Jang. It looked like in front of the main character was a stern-looking, tall, and bulky man. The man said, "Is it you? I've been hearing about you disrespecting the 7th young lord lately. This is the vice leader of the tiger faction, Catfish." The main character replied, "That's probably right, but who are you? Your eyes are quite far apart. You must have a wide field of vision." The man introduced himself as Catfish. The main character replied, "That's definitely your name, no doubt about it. But is it okay to have a catfish in the Black Dragon faction?" A loach. I couldn't understand. But the man started to say, "What? Are you comparing me to a fish, you little tick? You want to die?" As he threw a punch against the main character, we observed the young lord and the leader of the dragon faction. "What? Are we starting the lesson already? Oh my." I told them to wait until the young lord arrived. I bet the boys couldn't hold themselves. As they opened the door, the man tried to say, sometimes they act on their own like this because of their exclusive loyalty to the young lord. It looked like the main character had already defeated the bulky-looking man in an instant, and everyone was staring toward him. "Ah, this catfish, or whatever, for a thug. Why are your pockets empty?" he said while taking all the money from his pocket, saying, "Nothing worth taking at all." We observed the 7th young lord calling him, saying, "Jang, how did you?" But he was cut short as the main character took his name, saying, "Why are you here?" The main character then joined his hands, saying, "Assistant Jang reporting for the first day of duty. I was quite flustered earlier and committed great disrespect. How are you feeling now?" We observed how this lunatic was getting out of his mind, saying, "This lunatic, really? You dare to ask about my well-being? Just what kind of joke is this?" The main character replied, "I get that compliment a lot, but who are all these people behind you? Did you gather so many people for my welcoming ceremony?" He said, "Oh right, the more the merrier. I gathered them so you can enjoy it until you drop dead. How about it? Do you still want to be my assistant?" The main character said, "Of course. My dreams are grand, but my background is somewhat humble. I hope to advance my career by the noble 7th young lord's side. In simple terms, I'm trying to grab onto a lifeline." "Oh, you fool," the 7th lord replied. "If that's the case, you've got it all wrong, and you've come to the wrong place. You don't seem to know that my life has already hit rock bottom." "Don't worry about that," the main character replied. "I know," he thought to himself. "About you, everything is known by me better than anyone else." As the main character remembered the past of the 7th lord, we observed him saying, "So, young lord, you just need to follow me up there." The man couldn't understand what he was saying and was blank for a minute, then thought to himself, "What? This guy, is he being serious right now?" The main character said something to him as the man thought to himself, "This lunatic has finally gone mad. Why am I listening to this so attentively? It's just the nonsense of a measly 7th grade ghost." He gritted his teeth, saying, "Hey, how long are you going to let him talk like that? Get to work." The Black Dragon leader was quite startled as he said, "Yes, understood. Young lord, why are you all standing around in a daze?" As all of them share their thoughts openly, saying, "It's time for work. Give him a welcome." All of them attacked toward the main character. The main character just said, "Young lord, you just said the more the merrier, right?" "I think the same." A quiet noise and a whiff of wind occurred. They couldn't understand what was happening. "What's this? Something is coming." And we saw red-robed individuals arriving, a lot of them in an instant. The main character was surrounded by these guys as the people opposed to him thought. Who are those guys? An ambush or something? What's with this blood-red clothing? No way. As we saw the counterintelligence unit coming in front of the main character thought to himself, these guys came here so fast. What did I even call them? Well, now that all our guests seem to have arrived, shall we start the real welcoming ceremony? The look on the main character's face was frivolous.